Not Quite Cool is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general nonsense. Listener discretion is advised.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another excellent episode of Not Quite Cool. And you can feel the energy at the beginning of this episode because there is the lack of weight holding us down. I am Keith Brooks, and here with me, as always, is Chad Dowdy. Chad, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, but I'm going to tell you, the Arnold documentary dropped on Netflix today. So if I wasn't doing this podcast, that's what I'd be watching. So this podcast has to at least be as good as the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary.
Well, I can try to speak like Arnold throughout the entire thing, if that helps. The chief of action, I think is what he's called now, right? I haven't seen the documentary or Fubar, his show. He has a Netflix show. I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't seen Fubar either. I'm going to watch both, but documentary I'm going to watch first. It's a little bit easier to watch. It's 3 episodes, an hour long. So 3 hours, knock it out. Each segment is a different part of his life. Like the first segment, I believe, is like his bodybuilding life, then acting, and then politics. So it's a little bit easier. The Fubar thing, it's like 8 episodes, and it's like an hour each. So it's going to be like an undertaking that I'm going to do because it's Arnold. But
I hear it's like basically True Lies, but dad-daughter relationship instead. And I'm fucking here for it. So.
I mean, okay, I don't know. I haven't watched it. That's high praise if it's like True Lies.
That's what people are saying. And I feel, and it might be the comparison made because that True Lies show, who I know a couple people on, but it got canceled kind of quickly.
Yes.
So maybe that's why they're like, this is more of True Lies than that was. I don't know. I'm eager to see it because it's Arnold. But though now I really want to see a show of Arnold versus The Undertaker and call it The Undertaking. And just, oh my God, you think you're dead man now? And then they fight? Like, it'd be great. He's so good.
Well, Arnold did show up on SmackDown one time, and he came to blows with Triple H. Not The Undertaker, though.
Oh, that's a great fight. That's a great fight. Yeah,
it's one of my favorite moments in wrestling history. It really is.
Oh, there's so many good ones to choose from. But speaking of good things to choose from, you might be able to tell that there's a pep in our step, and it's because we don't have old man death himself breathing down our neck. Mr. Rob Prago is not here yet, though. Just like that time of the month, eventually he's going to flow in.
Gross.
Well, I figure this podcast about all men. Let's do more womanly views. So Rob will be here eventually. He says, we'll see. He also said, yeah, Mom, I'm gonna be a real big superstar in the acting world. We'll see.
Well, a lot of stuff he didn't watch anyway. It's not like he's gonna have a lot to offer on all this stuff he didn't see.
Yeah, and even if he did offer, I fucked up the joke. Even if he did see it, he wouldn't have a lot to offer then. Chad said that. Lady, I'm going to give you a peek behind the curtain. This is the Wizard of Oz moment. That had organically come up right before we started rolling. And Chad's like, I'll go ahead and set you up. And I got so excited when he set me up that I fucked up the joke.
That's worse than Rob reading a joke.
Yeah.
And messing it up.
Oh, God damn it. And I'm the editor. I could have just take two'd it, but I did not. Damn it.
Well, that's good. You're giving the people what they want. It's truth here.
The honesty.
That's what it is. And I feel like we're going to have to change the intro a little bit because almost every intro is like, and today we're a little bit lighter because we don't have Rob Prago. It's like, it should be the opposite, where if he's here, it's like, today, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. He's graced us with his presence.
Well, grace is a strong word. But let's kick it off. We have a lot of things to talk about. We will save some of the big stuff that Rob has seen or potentially has seen to later on in the show. But we're going to go ahead and get started with some great material. And that is a new Star Wars show came out, guys. Since the last time we talked. A new Star Wars show has come and gone. It is Star Wars Visions Season 2. Chad and I both watched it. Chad, what did you think about Star Wars Visions Season 2?
So, I wasn't super pumped for Vision Season 2 just because Vision Season 1 was fine. It was hit or miss. There were a couple that I really liked. Some, they were fine. Same scenario here with season 2. There were two that really stood out to me that I really liked. The first one that I really liked was Sky Dancer. Thought that one was awesome. And I didn't see the twist coming in that one, even though it's obvious. I should have, realized. But that was emotional.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I love Sky Dancer a lot.
And Sky Dancer, that's the one about the dancing lady at the show, her child, and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, and like her child was kidnapped or whatever in the past, or and the Empire's there. Yeah, great. That was a great one. And then the second one that I really enjoyed was The Pit, which is self-explanatory, where they're digging a huge pit the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a whole community down there in the pit. I thought those were the two standouts to me, while the rest of them, while the art was great. Yeah. And what I liked about it is it runs the gamut. It's all different types of art, whether it's like some Wallace and Gromit type art, animation, straight up hardcore anime, that the art ran the gamut, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. But the rest of the shorts were just kind of like, they were fine. None of them were like terrible, but the rest of them were fine. But those were the two stands out. How about you?
I love this season. I absolutely adored it. I think the animation, it's so drastically different than it seems the first season is definitely like, let's just do anime. The second season is let's go all over the world with some experimental stuff. And I loved everything that they were doing. I love the episode by the same team that did Secret of Kelly's and the Wolfwalker, the Irish one. I thought that was just emotional, and what a great turn, and what a great way to explore a different aspect of this. I love the Wallace and Gromit one. I thought that was a lot of fun. I loved a lot of the cameos that were in that one, of the little Easter eggs. Sky Dancer was beautiful. I love the one about the girl with the painting, the stone painting to sort of honor her mother. I thought that was absolutely amazing. And this won't be the only time that we talk about stunning animation in this episode today. But to me, I thought, while I liked season 1 of Vision, season 2 is, to me, infinite and beyond better. Like, I absolutely adored it. And it rose. But I'm a big fan of cartoons that can succinctly take me on a journey, and these were just fantastic. Every single one. I can't think of a single one of them I didn't really like. I thought almost all of them had a real good emotional punch that showed us different aspects of the Star Wars universe, especially like the girl who had the Force, that she could ignite the kyber crystals every time she sang, or the girl who had to lose her family in order to follow the Jedi. All of those were super compelling and interesting stories. Plus, it's always great to see, a different aspect of this world, different things that are going on, and it's not the same old that you've seen before. Which
I like that. Yeah, for sure.
Which brings me to something that I want to talk about, a film that I saw called Mallum. If you're not familiar with Mallum, it is a remake of a film that was maybe 10 years old at this point, called The Last Shift. It's the same director. The Last Shift has a little bit of a cult following to it. Mallum, the same director, taking the same concept, now with a bigger budget. And it's not as good. Like, it's not like I feel. I love Last Shift, and that's not just because friend of the channel Josh Michael is in it, but he's a great job in it. This one, some of the special effects look great, but it feels like there is no cohesiveness to the story. Like, a character will be in one room, walking into another, and just they don't feel connected. It feels like they were in a completely different building. You know what I mean? Or they're exiting from a scene we didn't watch. And so it feels very uncomfortable. Speaking of uncomfortable, Rob's coming in, but I also think he's logging in from somebody else's Zoom. And that's probably not the best of decisions.
I've never used my Zoom. I haven't used my Zoom in 7 years, 10 years, 35 years. I haven't used my Zoom.
Probably all those. You look like what Beetlejuice looked like before he died. Like, that's how your hair looks.
My hair is starting to mimic Christopher Walken, which is not
really more Christopher Lloyd in Taxi. So it's
not the good Chris's like the Pines or the Hemsworths. No, about the Lloyds.
No, you got Lloyd, Glover,
Crispin Glover, Christopher Walken.
Yeah,
it just took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. I can't speak.
Yeah, no, understood. Well,
I think I've watched one thing you guys have, so let me know when I'm up.
yeah, no. I would say it's a pleasure having you on the show, but anyway, so Mallum, I feel it's just disconnected. It doesn't feel like the energy keeps going. Nothing that happens sort of adds up. It feels disjointed the entire time. And it feels like it would make a great video game, but a shitty movie. So, and not shitty in production wise, just cohesiveness isn't there. I much prefer the original. Last Shift, I think, is a great watch. That being said, let's talk about some other great watches that we've had in the meantime. And that is, we're going to move on to one of our big hitters, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Rob, did you watch this one?
Say it again. My Bluetooth completely went out for a second. Which one?
Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse.
I haven't seen the movie. I've seen the trailer.
Oh, that's how surprising. Anyway,
And I thought that trailer was very cartoony.
It was. Well,
it was very. Is it a cartoon? Because it looked very cartoony.
It's not
Most
always
of
a
it.
cartoon. Yeah.
I heard. Yeah, spoilers. Yeah, I heard the spoilers.
Yes, there might be some spoilers. I think it'd be difficult to talk about this without talking about a couple of spoilers. But Chad,
Spoiler away, big guy.
go for it. What did you think about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? Was it amazing? Was it spectacular? Was it superior? How did you feel?
Nice.
It was awesome. I dug this movie a lot. It's early contender for, top 5 of the year overall for me. I mean, it's that good. That doesn't mean it couldn't be unseated, of course, but it's excellent. I loved it. I loved the Easter eggs and cameos in this movie. And just in general, almost everything they do, Lord and Miller, I'm a huge fan anyway. Forget the fact that this is, like a Marvel movie with Spider-Man, but I love Lord and Miller. I love their sense of humor so much. And a lot of that's on display here, in certain instances. Just a big fan. Animation is as cool as you would expect. It's that kind of weird, you almost can't like describe it or wrap your head around it. Like, it's different, but like, how is it different? It's like something you've never really seen before.
Yeah,
Again, it's like the other Spider-Verse, but
absolutely.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Obviously, it was a great emotional story for Miles and Gwen. I thought that was like a perfect two-hander in that regard for the two of them. It's not just Miles' story. Gwen, major journey in this for her. And I love her as a character, Spider-Gwen, anyway. So give her more time. I like that. Obviously, Spider-Man 2099, he was awesome.
Yeah.
But Spider-Punk stole the movie. Come on.
Absolutely.
Like he is so funny. And
Who's the actor? Who's playing Spider-Punk?
Daniel Kaluuya.
Oh, no shit. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. He's excellent in this movie. Like,
anyway,
in the comics, not really a big fan of Spider-Punk. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's like, again, and he's not in the movie the whole time. He's the star when he's in the thing. It's like, what's he going to say? I want to know what he's going to do. Huge fan of Spider-Punk. But again, we're getting a little spoilers a little bit, but not major. I just really like the idea of all these spider people have a certain preordained things that have to happen to them to make them more Spider-Man. And it's not just Uncle Ben dying. It is other things that have to happen after they're Spider-Man that makes them even more of a hero. And I really like that thought. I like that aspect. I thought it was just well done, top to bottom. Big thumbs up about this movie.
Yeah, and I feel like, that idea is not necessarily a new one within the world of Spider-Man. We sort of explored a little bit of that in No Way Home. There's a game from years ago called Shattered Web or Web of Dimensions or whatever it is, where that same sort of conversation happens between Peter Parker and Miguel O'Hara, where they're arguing about what do we do if we know this is a touchstone moment? Do we let it happen or not? And that's sort of explored in a bigger way here. I think the thing about this movie that makes it so exceptional is the way the attention to character. It is so strong. It is, since we've last seen Miles, his character arc makes perfect sense. Like, who he's become in the meantime feels so realistic, feels so grounded. And with every single one of them, it does. And then as we see each of these characters and go into their world sort of mirrors how their character feels, what that energy is, right? Save for Miguel's. Miguel's doesn't feel like he fits even. which I think is an
Right.
interesting thing there. Just some of the spoiler stuff here. Let's just talk about it. The fact that we got the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, that we got Spider-Man Unlimited, the Lego scene created by a 14-year-old kid that the directors had seen and asked him to be a part of the movie, and he made a Lego portion of the film. The fact that J. Jonah Jameson is always J.K. Simmons in every world. That's amazing. And then the big one for me, everybody knew you were going to see at least some of the live-action Spider-Mans, but Glover suited up as the Prowler. That was everything I ever needed. Like,
didn't know it. I'm so glad I didn't know it too.
I'm so glad I didn't know it. And then when you see him, it's through the roof excitement, right? Even though he's barely there. And we don't have those Easter eggs to take away from Miles' story, because at the end of the day, this is Miles' story. But the place it leaves us off with, oh my God, like I knew that twist the minute the machine said, this is where we're going. I'm like, oh God, I know what's going to happen now. But wow, just like what a great cliffhanger to carry us over into the next one. I want to see Japanese Spider-Man, because we didn't get to see him. I need to see Holland. Where is he at? We mention him, but we don't see him. I need to see 90s Spider-Man. I want to see 70s Spider-Man. I want to see, those iterations. The 60s Spider-Man was cool. I like that.
That was funny. Yeah.
That was the T-Rex.
Did they ever add that weird, not Sesame Street, Electric Company had a very weird Spider-Man character.
We haven't seen,
have they ever had that?
Not in this one, not yet. I haven't. He wasn't in this one. The every other kind of Spider-Man you could ever want is there. There's a Bruce Banner Spider-Man in the background. There's Bombastic Bagman. There's a horse Spider-Man.
Well, and then you got, Sandberg's playing Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider. Sandberg is hilarious.
So good.
He is so funny in this movie. And especially if you're a fan of, like me, growing up, 90s comic books. Like his inner monologue is just the stupidest stuff. He's saying exactly what he's doing. Like he's thinking.
I'm so depressed. Looking at my muscles. They could be bigger. Oh my God. Like that's.
I'm just gonna. He's like, I'm gonna go down here. Yeah, I'm just gonna look at this wall right here. That's different from this wall over here. And it's like that was 90s comic books. Their thoughts,
100%.
But their thoughts. It's so funny.
How does it hold up? How many cartoons, how many animation movies have been nominated for Best Picture? I know Beauty and the Beast was Toy Story nominated? Were any of the Toy Stories nominated for Best Picture?
I don't know. Let me look that up real quick.
Because what happened was after Beauty and the Beast,
they made a separate
was nominated for Best Picture. They made a separate category for Best Animated Film. So it was a lot harder for a film to be nominated as Best Picture being animated. So I bet it's not that many at all, because they created a Best Animated Feature category. Like maybe The Lion King, maybe.
There's only three. So there's only 3 animated films that have been nominated for Best Picture. None have ever won. Beauty and the Beast, Up, and Toy Story 3.
Oh, Up. Yeah, I forgot about that. A couple of things come to mind. First of all, how much would you love to see Lord and Miller's version of fucking Solo, Han Solo? I mean,
totally.
Everything they've ever touched have I disliked, ever. I love their sense of humor. Exactly. I love their take on stuff. I think Kathleen Kennedy fucked up. She screwed the pooch with that removal. I mean, that's crazy. And I'm curious, does Feige have any say over what's her name over at Sony using Glover and connecting the universes? I wonder if he's involved. And she's like, I'm hiring Glover to be this character, and I'm going to connect the universes myself if it's the last thing I do.
But the way they do it, it makes sense, and it's nothing that interferes more than what Spider-Man No Way Home does, or what what's the other one, Multiverse of Madness does.
I don't even care if it does interfere. I'm curious if Feige has any say over that part of it. Yeah.
They also, you didn't mention that, like in your cameos, they also go to Venom's world.
Yeah,
it's like the
Hardy.
Yeah, the Tom Hardy
Venom world. Yeah, cool.
They go to like his not supermarket, what is
bodega
store, bodega. Yeah, it's like the lady at the bodega is there, and so it's clearly Venom's world. It's live action, so.
And they make a dig at Morbius
as much as possible.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff. Like it's, and it's fun too. I just had a blast with this movie, especially if you're a Marvel fan. And they do such a great job of taking a villain like the Spot, who's been around for a long fucking time and has always been a cheesy ass villain. Even in the 90s cartoon, that was the worst episode there ever was. You know what I mean? And they really make him super frightening. Like Jason Schwartzman did an amazing job in this movie. The transition he makes from going to a silly bad guy to a Lovecraftian villain that's going to destroy everything. It's phenomenal. I can't recommend this movie enough. I hope it's nominated for Best Picture. It won't be because it's a cartoon, but it should be. I liked it a lot. Speaking of, well, this isn't even speaking of things I like a lot, but this is something that I often say to Rob whenever he comes over to my house. Chad watched a show called I Think You Should Leave. Season 3. I love season 1 and 2. It's a sketch comedy show on Netflix. Chad, what did you think about I Think You Should Leave season 3?
Yeah, it's Tim Robinson. If you don't know, he was on Saturday Night Live for like one season, I think. Yeah. But, you know, it's like you're saying, season 1 and 2 is on Netflix. It's like 6 episodes and they're like 16-minute long. It's just not enough, you know, as far as I'm concerned. But they're hilarious. The skits on all of the seasons, this is no exception, is run the gamut from like, yeah, that was pretty good, to some of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, he is so freaking funny. He is just a super weirdo. Just like him just being in a scene, it makes you want to laugh just because the way he looks and the looks on his faces. But just the stuff that he comes up with is just belly laughing funny. Like, if you've never seen I Think You Should Leave, check it out on Netflix because it's a 16-minute episode. They're easy to knock out. And you're going to find something that you'll say, that's one of the funniest skits I've ever seen in my entire life. You'll find one for sure.
That one with Bob Odenkirk, where they're at the diner and he has to lie to his daughter for Bob Odenkirk, or the simple one where he's just stuck in traffic or whatever, and the guy's like, dude, move out of the way. Can't you drive? No, I can't. I don't know how. This is difficult. He's like crying. Yeah,
This one, I'm going to tell you a little bit. This is one of the funniest ones I've seen. He's at a drive-through, and he gives the lady, you know, the money or whatever, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to buy the guys behind me. I'm just going to pay it forward. Who knows? Maybe it'll catch on. And he's being like, you think he's being altruistic or whatever. She gives him at the car. She's like, oh, that's nice. As soon as he gets his food, he immediately speeds around as fast as he can to go and get back in the drive-through line. And he gets right behind the guy, and he gets to the drive-through, and she's like, yeah, I can help you. And he's like, 55 hamburgers, 55 sodas, 55 chilies, 32 taters, coffees, and he just blasts like all these things. And she's like, okay, that'll be $600. He's like, okay. And then he pulls up behind the guy, and then you see the guy look like behind, and she's like pointing, and he gets out of the car and goes, and he's like, what are you trying to do, dude? He's like, well, you have to pay it forward. The guy in front of you did it. And he's like, you're the guy that was in front of me. He's like, you have to do it. And they just get to it. It's the funniest thing. And the lady's behind him. She beeps, and she's like, what's going on? And the other guy's like, he's trying to do a pay it forward line here. She immediately pops it into reverse, gets back, and she goes, I'll take 55 hamburgers, 55 taters, 32 coffees. Like, she does the same exact thing. And then Tim Robinson is like, damn it, you've ruined everything.
I love
the funniest thing. It is so funny. But again, there's skits like this peppered throughout the series that are just like some of the funniest stuff you've ever seen.
I have to watch it. I mean, he has such a weird sense of comedy, and I've always loved that.
But it's super weird.
Yeah. But speaking of being super weird, let me talk about a movie I saw on A24, which is, you know, the channel, the podcast favorite distributor.
Don't trigger Chad. Don't trigger.
Yeah.
Don't gaslight Chad.
This movie is called Beau is Afraid, directed by Ari Aster, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Parker Posey and Nathan Lane and just a shit ton of people.
Great cast.
Whoa.
Beau's Afraid / Chad is bored. Got it.
You would not be bored in this movie because this is the weirdest movie I've ever seen in my life. It takes comedy to this weird, hyper-realistic, because it's not a scary movie. It is a comedy, but it's a comedy in the vein of something like Candide, like a weird, like scarred character going on a journey where things just get so ridiculous. I have never seen so much of Joaquin Phoenix nude. I have never seen so much of Parker Posey nude. And so, you know, there's balance there, I think. There is some trippy, beautiful stuff. There's an animation sequence in the film that I think is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen in my life. But I think Ari Aster just has a lot of demons with his mother. And the entire plot is Joaquin Phoenix, it plays a sort of agoraphobic sort of person who lives in an ultra violent city. He's supposed to go to his mother's house to celebrate or commiserate the anniversary of his father's death from when he was young. So he realizes he's packing up all of his things, trying to leave from this violent city, realizes he forgets something, leaves his key in his door, goes back into his apartment to get it. When he comes back out, the key's gone. Oh God, I can't leave. They'll steal all my things. His mother freaks out, starts yelling at him about not being able to come home. The next day, he finally figures out how to get over there, and his mother is dead. But he's not there when he finds out over the phone through Richard Kind. So that's interesting. Actually, Bill Hader. Bill Hader's the one who tells him his mother's dead. And then Richard Kind comes in later. So then trying to figure out how to get to his mother's house, he gets hit by a car and taken in by a bunch of people, preventing him from getting there within the 3 days for the Jewish burial services. And it's all just crazy hijinks from there that are too trippy for me to even mention. There are Lovecraftian elements to this movie. It's just fucking insane. It's just an insane film. So if you like weird, strange things, you should go see this. If you're expecting something akin to Hereditary or Midsommar, that's not what this is. This is a drastically different turn. It is, I would say, Woody Allen through A24. That's kind of without any underage sex. So that's good. So speaking of things that are, what kind of transition am I going to use for that? Speaking of uncomfortable combinations, Chad watched a movie called Kids versus Aliens. So Chad, I don't know what this is. Was this just you hanging out at school? What's going on? What is this?
That sounds fun to make, though. That sounds like a fun movie to make.
Wow.
Well, it's a Shudder original.
Okay,
that just came out. But what it is I don't know if you remember this, Keith, from VHS. I think it's part 2. Mm-hmm. There was a Kids versus Aliens segment in VHS. And this is them expanding it out to a feature film, basically. Oh, okay. They don't succeed as far as, I'm concerned. It's the short is much better in VHS. Watch that. Don't watch Kids versus Aliens. Now, it's fine. I appreciate the effort, but it almost seems like kids made this. You know what I mean? It's the quality's not great. It's cheap. So be it. That happens. Whatever. It's a horror movie. But I was like hoping for kind of like Monster Squad, but with aliens, and that's not what this was. It just wasn't. It wasn't well done. I don't even feel like the ending was an ending. I think it might be like 65 minutes long. It's, barely a movie, as far as the length goes. Yeah. There's no ending per se. It's just, I just was not a fan. It didn't succeed. But again, if you like VHS, I think 2, that skit, you might want to check it out, but don't have high hopes for it, I'd say.
Damn, the horror movies are not doing well on today's podcast at all. Not only Mallum in this one. Let's see if this next one can exorcise the demons of badness, and that's the Russell Crowe starring film, The Pope's Exorcist. So I saw this movie, and meh. Like the good part about it is Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is very captivating in this film, and I think that's why he did it, because he gets to play with the Italian accent. He's a drunkard priest who's really cocky in himself, and he's having a blast. So just watching it for that sake, that's great. The story beats, you've seen the vast majority of them before. We have The Exorcist, we have Exorcist 3, we have Exorcist 2, we have Dominion, a little bit of everything. There is this great inference, and this is a big spoiler, that a demon possessed a priest, and then everything that priest did was now tainted by the devil, and that would include the Spanish Inquisition. So that's kind of an interesting thing, but Dominion also already kind of does that to a degree. at the end of the movie, it becomes like a CGI bullshit fest. But Russell Crowe's performance in of itself is absolutely great. That is the most hypnotizing aspect of it. The movie's just all right. But that takes me into the next film that I want to talk about. I'm sorry, I'm going to be firing off a couple because, I was just waiting on the podcast ready just so I can have more value. The next movie I'm talking about here is the Robert Rodriguez, Ben Affleck starring Hypnotic.
You saw that. I didn't realize you saw that.
I did.
It was in the text though, Rob. So
gotcha.
No big deal.
It also stars. Let me find out the name of the person, the woman.
My phone doesn't get this. Did anybody see Boogeyman yet? I've heard mixed reviews on that.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
No, I wanted to see it and I didn't find the time. I've heard that there's some good jump scares.
Yeah.
Which, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Hypnotic stars Ben Affleck and Alice Braga. And it is interesting because it feels like if the movie was made 25 years ago, it would be super cutting edge. But that's kind of also part of the point of the movie is for it to feel fake. And so there's some interesting turns in the movie that sort of give you that's what we're doing. And those are cool. Those are super, super interesting. So it's fun to watch for that sake. But I would say you can wait till it's streaming. Look, I think Rodriguez knows exactly what he's doing with the camera. He has an idea of a type of story he's trying to tell, and he wants you to make it feel like, hey, this is a shitty 90s, early 2000s cop thriller that we probably shot in Czechoslovakia. Like that's the vibe the movie's going for at the beginning of it. But then a couple of twists take you into different directions. And those directions, I feel, grounded a little bit more. And then finally, at the very end, the movie kind of feels a little hokey. But not the worst thing I've seen. Not even the worst thing I've seen on this list this week. So,
well, you're looking at Rob right now. So
yeah,
that's the worst thing you've seen.
Absolutely.
Get much worse than this.
Yeah. So that's Hypnotic. That was fine. Let's talk about another thing I watched. I'm 4 episodes deep on a new Disney Plus series that really is captivating and hypnotizing. And that's Muppet Mayhem. Muppet Mayhem tells the story of Dr. T and the Electric Mayhem, the band from the Muppets. They have their own show now. And it's fucking great. Did Rob just cuss and say something? What did he say?
He's mad. He hates anything kiddie, remember?
Oh, yeah. Hates cartoons.
I love the Muppets. I grew up on the Muppets. My internet didn't like your discussion, though. It's
gotcha.
Unstable.
I don't like the Muppets that much. But
it's awesome.
Well, you're fucking ridiculous. The Muppets are amazing.
I'll try to get this.
Muppet Mayhem, I think it's super fun. It's just about the band trying to make their first record after 35 years, and that's a clever concept to begin with. That's a lot of fun for me. Chad's laughing at the fact that Rob's frozen.
Rob's frozen picture is perfect.
Is he coming back? He just really doesn't want me to talk about the Muppets. I can move on.
Yes, I told you. He's acting like he likes the Muppets. He doesn't. He's told me 1,000 times that he fucking hates the Muppets. He said if Keith talks about the Muppets one more fucking time, I'm leaving the show.
I don't know what the problem.
I didn't know he had a complicated relationship with the Muppets. I thought it was just Star Wars.
He said, yeah, Kermit's okay, but Dr. fucking T or whatever you said the guy's name was, he can't stand that guy. What's his name?
Dr. T. Yeah.
Yeah. Rob hates Dr. T. Are you kidding me?
Dr. T.
Like,
yeah.
He's a Kermit guy through and through. That's it.
I could totally see that.
Maybe a little bit of Fozzie because he likes saying Wonka, Wonka, Wonka all the time, but that's it. That's it. That's it.
I think Rob is more Sam the Eagle. He just left. He left. He left the conversation because he couldn't handle the Muppet roasting we were giving him. We became Statler and Waldorf. Point is, Muppet Mayhem is great. It's got really good cameos. Here he comes back in. It was too much for him. All the names I've called him over the years, and you insulted his Muppet loyalty, and that's what drove him away.
Hey, how's the podcast going? How you guys doing?
That's great.
What's going on? What I missed?
Talking about the Muppets. Be careful.
I love the Muppets. I grew up on the Muppets. Muppets aren't animation; they're Muppets.
They're Muppets. They are Muppets. But this show has great cameos. It has Danny Trejo. Every single episode has an old person song, which is why I think Rob would like it. songs from like the 70s, the 60s, 80s, 90s, you know, all
Hey,
y'all.
how'd they get Danny Trejo? He is hard to get into. Sorry, my bad. What crazy? That guy is. Yeah, I don't know how he's
How
like
many
Lewis? He's fucking. I don't.
how many movies have you made with Danny Trejo? I rest my case. Shut the fuck up. These Muppets are
I've
amazing.
turned down more movies with Danny Trejo than I've been with Danny Trejo. I've never turned down a movie. I've never turned down a thing. Never.
I know. I've seen your resume. Also,
I know people who worked with Danny Trejo. Everybody I've known has worked with Danny Trejo except for me. That's it.
Also, I wanted to say this before we continue about Danny Trejo. You know how Rob always says, you know, Star Wars, I'm tired of this kiddie bullshit. Oh, I have
I got an interesting relationship with this thing.
Whatever. Do you know what the band from the Cantina, you know what the type of music is called and what musicians that play that music are called within Star Wars? You have any idea?
Star Wars creature music.
No.
Okay. Jazz.
That's super close.
Pajazz.
Less close.
Is the jazzy?
The name of the music is
he Boopy Jazz?
The name of the music is Jizz.
Oh, I did hear that.
And the people that play it are called Jizz Whalers. So every time that you tell me I have to be serious about Star Wars, Jizz Whalers. That's George Lucas called them Jizz Whalers. That was his intention. Anyway, speaking about jizzing on things, Chad went and saw the beginning of the trilogy conclusion of an epic franchise. I'm really shocked Rob hasn't seen this yet.
The beginning of a trilogy conclusion to an epic franchise.
Yeah. Also in the text thread, but
my phone doesn't get text.
That's that on that same text thread he texts us on. Starring everybody. I'm shocked if Danny Trejo isn't in one of these. Fast X. Chad, how did you enjoy Fast X? Was it fast? Was it furious? How did you feel?
It's a ridiculous film.
Yeah.
I love it. It is a live action cartoon at this point. It really is. It is a satire of its own films at this point. It's a comic book movie in the sense that no one is really dead. People that have died in prior movies, they come back to life.
Or
like,
people who
just like comic books.
Yeah. Or people who have quit these movies come back as well, I hear. So
one guy made a joke that said even people that die in real life are still in these movies because Paul Walker is still referenced and he's still a character in these movies. And he's in this movie, by the way. So it is unbelievable. Like I said, it's a comic book movie. It is crazy. But this movie is Jason Momoa's movie. It is insane what he does in this movie. First of all, he's not in the same movie as everybody else. He's doing his own thing that's almost unrelated to these guys. His acting, his choices, it's incredible. He's like Harley Quinn. I get Harley Quinn vibes from him. Not Joker. I get Harley Quinn vibes from him. He's an insane person, and he is trying to get rid of, kill Vin and all of his crew because his father was killed. And the way he's acting, though, is he's not depressed about his dad being dead at all, even though he's trying to kill these people. He is hamming up every scene. Just as an example, you see this in movies where the guy kills somebody with a knife and they lick the blade or something. It's happened 1,000 times in movies. He kills a guy. He doesn't lick the blade. He puts the whole blade in his mouth, and it's like he's finishing up a lollipop or something. It is so disgusting. It is crazy what he's doing in this movie. He is trying to kill people. He gets punched in the face, and he calls the guy butthole for punching him in the face. Like that, he's an insane person in this movie. And again, his tone does not match the rest of the movie. Nothing. Then another person who's not in the same movie is John Cena. John Cena is also not in Fast 10 this way. John Cena, I believe, is in that Playing with Fire movie, where it's that kid's comedy, because the entire time John Cena's hanging out with a kid doing a comedy stick. It's ridiculous what John Cena's doing.
Isn't it also that doesn't his character, and I haven't watched these movies since the second one, Doesn't he have a brain transplant? Isn't that the thing that's in this movie?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
There's no brain transplants in this movie. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Unless you're spoiling Fast X Part 2. I don't know what to tell you.
Who
but
knows?
he's not even the same character that he was. So maybe that was a joke somebody made.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he's not acting at all like he did in the prior movies. But he's also not acting like he's in a Fast X movie. It's crazy. Everybody else is in the same movie except for Momoa's doing his own thing and Cena's doing his own thing. And I'm here for it. I love these movies. Keep them coming. Bring everybody back. I don't care. Like,
I mean, it looks like they're going to.
They're setting it up to be like, legitimately, they're setting it up like Avengers Endgame, where everyone that's ever been a part of these movies is going to have to band together to take on Jason Momoa at the end. Like, that's how
Momoa is kind of Thanos. Momoa is Thanos, and they're all going to come back to fight.
If Thanos mixed with Harley Quinn. Yes,
gotcha.
Absolutely.
It looks like in all the commercials and trailers, he's looked like he's playing a 1960s Batman villain. And I just can't wait for the end where you're going to have. So it's going to be this, Hobbs and Shaw 2, then 2 more Fast movies. And I
heard it's just Hobbs. I heard they're not.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so that'd be kind of ridiculous. Statham's I think is hotter than The Rock is. I mean, as far as
but I heard though that I don't know if they're trying to get them, but rumored to be a part of Hobbs is Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart. So you got Ryan Reynolds. That's
Kevin Hart.
Whatever. You'll be fine.
I don't know. Red Notice. Red Notice wasn't that great.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah. Say no more. Yeah.
But
it's going to be better than Red Notice.
But I'm excited to see. I mean, I'll probably watch that last one just so I can see all the characters unite and like the ghost of Clark Gable riding on a car and John Wayne coming back and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I said Paul Walker's. This is funny. They start the movie with you watch the ending of Part 5 again because that's when Jason Momoa's dad died. But they do the thing where Jason Momoa was really there the whole time.
Yeah,
so
like
they
the Robert Downey Jr.
scenes.
thing, like the
So they show those scenes right. And Momoa was really there. Then later, at the end, close to the end of the movie, there's like a reveal that somebody else was there, and we see the end of the movie, the Part 5 again with somebody else there as well. It's like insane. We see the end of Part 5 twice in this movie, with more people being added
every single time.
Background.
It's going to be more like Waldo's just going to be in one shot. I love it.
Exactly.
I mean, it is a serialized story and the most true essence of that. I think the fact you called it a cartoon come to life is perfect. But that also takes me to the next film I want to talk about, and that's Disney's The Little Mermaid. I'm shocked and disappointed that you two fucks didn't go see this movie because it's well worth it. Look, Rob Marshall knows how to direct a musical. I'm not going to lie to you. And Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote 2 more songs for this bitch, and it's fantastic. Talk about people that are having a blast. Melissa McCarthy could barely hide the smile on her face as she's playing Ursula because she is just leaning into this motherfucker. Javier Bardem actually looks like he's having a lot of fun, even though he's trying to be the solemn thing. And the Haley Berry or whatever her name is, absolutely phenomenal. You leave that girl alone. She is a fucking mermaid if ever there was one. And she does a beautiful job. She really does play the character very richly. Daveed Diggs, who might be our next thing, is great as Sebastian. Aquafina, Scuttle, absolutely fantastic. Jacob Tremblay or whatever as Flounder. Awesome cast all around. Look, it takes some turns. Having grown up with the original, which is such an iconic film, it still takes turns that are different than the original. And you're like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. That's weird. Cool, let's see where that goes. And then some of those turns go nowhere, and some of them are kind of interesting to see how it changes the story. But I think overall, the music's fun. This is probably one of the better, if not the best, of the Disney live action remakes that we have going right now. It's just beautiful to watch. It takes you a second to get sort of adjusted to the animation underwater. The first few shots of this movie are captivating. They're just utterly beautiful. And, I was left watching it going, I have no fucking idea how they shot this because it's so intricate and people are floating in such a way that I was just racking my brain. And I couldn't figure out how I would go about making this movie. And that was a cool experience to have, right? And it's got great cameos too. The original Sebastian shows up, the original Ariel. It's fun to see all of that. So yeah, if you're a Disney fan, I highly recommend that. If you're a Disney fan, most likely you have Disney Plus. So that takes me to the next thing I want to talk about. We have 2 Marvel projects to discuss here today. And this first one is a Disney Marvel show, an animated series called Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, produced by Lawrence Fishburne. I think it's like 12 episodes about the titular character of Moon Girl, who is a streetwise smart girl in the streets of New York who meets a giant red dinosaur that she has a connection with, and they become superheroes. And it's kind of interesting because we get a couple of MCU pop-ins. So not only does Lawrence Fishburne reprise his character from Ant-Man and the Wasp, we also get Maria Hill. We also get Sam Wilson. They show up in the cartoon. It's super fun. But the best part about it, Lawrence Fishburne plays the Beyonder. And he's kind of fucking incredible as the Beyonder. They do a really awesome version of it. So, and a lot of cool things show up. The symbiote shows up and she has to deal with that. So a lot of interesting aspects of the Marvel universe that are seldom talked about. And every episode of this, kind of like Muppet Mayhem, has a musical number in the middle of it. Not that anybody's singing, but the soundtrack plays such an important part to the show that they like reserve time for, you know, a song to be played in the middle, and the animation changes to match the song. It's just a really interesting look. It just feels great.
Was this something, let me cut you off. Is this something that was just released, or has this been out a while and or it was made a long time ago and then they just sort of slipped it in there because it was not quite part of, CU?
It was released this year.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and it's tangentially connected. Like Anthony Mackie is the Falcon in it.
Okay.
Goldie Smulders is Maria Hill. But
Cool.
since it's animated, I don't know, theoretically could be a part of an adjacent universe. So I don't know. But
Pretty good though. Is it good?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It's definitely aimed more towards kids. No, I wouldn't say young kids, maybe teenagers, but and that preteen age probably. But I had a blast watching it, but because I'm a kid at heart. But speaking of having a blast watching things, that takes us to our last film that we're going to be discussing. Also, the last time we'll see some of these characters. That is James Gunn's magnum opus, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Where we're going to make you cry the entire time. Chad, you're going to start us off. How did you feel about Guardians 3?
Well, I love Guardians 3, but it is definitely tonally different than the other 2. My wife's favorite MCU movies are the Guardians movies. It's a rewatch for her. If she's flipping through the channels and it's on, she's going to watch 1 and 2. She did not like this one. So it's not for everyone in that regard. Mm-hmm. And I can't decide, honestly, if this is the best Guardians movie or the third on the list. Like, just because it's just so tonally different that it's the same characters, I know, but it's just, I have so much fun watching 1 and 2. They are a blast. They are so much fun. And this one is not fun, but it is emotionally fulfilling. It is a perfect send-off for these characters. Some, like you said, we may not see again. Some, who knows where they're going to show up, and maybe a future Avengers movie, things like that. But it was so fulfilling and so gratifying. Like, I loved it, but it was super emotional, and super draining, especially when you compare it to the other 2 lighthearted, I should say. I mean, I know there's some hard stuff in 1 and 2, but this is just totally different. And the villain is just a great villain, so menacing. You want him to get everything they give him in this movie, because he is a terrible, terrible person, and excellently acted. I mean, yes, I love this movie a lot, but I'm still sitting with it. I just don't know if it's my favorite Guardians movie or not.
Okay, that was some intense words. You heard it first here, folks. Chad hates Rocket Raccoon. Rob, how did you feel about Guardians 3?
Yeah, and to piggyback a little bit off what Chad said, but I think it was more fun than Chad. I had more fun than Chad had with the movie. And I think it was the fact that there was a blend of fun in there that made the heavy emotional things that much more weighted, that he did take you on this journey. I think the tones may be different in these movies, but the characters are very consistent. And I think, we follow these characters, we fall in love with these characters. And, a lot like life, you go through different phases and different things happen. And sometimes they're good times and there are bad times. But these characters are so nuanced, and these actors have really taken such ownership of these roles that whatever they go through, you're with them. And you're like, oh my God, whether it's they're going through something good or bad, it's just you ride. And there's not one character there that you didn't feel for, whether it was just Cosmo the dog, who just, we barely really got to know, or Kraglin, all the way back, the moments with I belly laughed in this movie as hard as I cried during this movie. It's interesting, when I saw it twice. I saw it the first time I saw it, and I saw it again in IMAX. But I walked out the first time, I was like, did I really love that movie, or just juxtaposed against the prior 3 movies that came out, which were, to me, just didn't live up to it. Was I just Jones, and did I just need some really good quality? And that it was one of those ones where the couple of days went by, and I just loved it more and more and more. And I was like, I got to go see this on IMAX. And I thought it actually affected me more in IMAX. I mean, just the overwhelming sound and just immersiveness of the IMAX experience was, it blew me away. I loved that. Again, I think we could hold that up to some of the best trilogies of all time. Regardless of genre, whatever, that was amazing. I think the MCU is the worst for wear for losing James Gunn in this. But DC, I think will, again, James Gunn is a certain feel. He's got a certain sense of humor, a certain way of storytelling that I think translates to many things. And I think it'll do well over there, which is good for competition and good for DC. But this movie was tremendous. I'm glad we're not really losing any characters. Because they're all welcome back as far as I'm concerned. They're fucking great.
I think the movie did a great job of leaving them in a good place where they do have a resolution should they choose not to return. And I get it. I get why Batista might not want to. It's a lot of makeup. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of action stuff. And especially after a life of wrestling, those bones got to be hurting for a while. You know what I mean? But I think I do love the fact that other than Adam Warlock, Gunn treated all these characters with infinite love. I was and even I like the way he did Warlock. It's just sort of like the same with the Ben Reilly treatment in Spiderverse sort of caught me off guard because that's not the way I picture them in my head. You know what I mean? Because Adam Warlock is always space Jesus every time we read. And stoic. He's stoic, right? And to see him as the baby, well, it was kind of neat. It was an interesting take on it. It was fun. And I think Will Poulter did a great job. Just, again, not what I was expecting. But I dug it. And I cried like 17 times in this movie. As an animal lover, the minute this movie was over, I raced home to give every single one of my animals a hug. The fish hated it, but still, it's fine. And
I mean, that shot of those baby raccoons, are you fucking kidding me? What kind of manipulate? I mean, that's hard to. I can't even picture that. That is just overwhelming.
Well, even when Baby Rocket talked for the first time, and his first word,
and the first word was hurts.
What the hell?
Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, it's
that's when Stephanie turned in the
devastating.
movie and said, "I don't like this movie." You know what I mean? As soon as Rocket said that. To your point, about background, I teared up several times in this movie, but honestly, the thing that got me the most was not the animal stuff. It was when Nebula heard Rocket talking and she realized he was okay and she broke down. I was like, oh my God, I'm breaking down.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Nebula, the hardest of the hard, is breaking down over this.
Yeah.
That got me to my core.
There's some amazing performances in this. I also think Palm Clementov does a great job of skating that line between comical and seriousness. There's a moment in this where they call Drax stupid and he gets upset and she calms him. And I think it's written for comedy. And I think at the beginning of it, when she raises her hand, it's comedy. By the time she places her hand on him, it's serious.
Yeah.
And she does that so quickly. And then plus you juxtapose that against her little scream. Oh, I was screaming at something else scary behind you. You look super cool. Thanks. That sort of scene was phenomenal. And that's a very James Gunn moment. And there's so many just subplots, the Cosmos story. As a dog owner, that's my favorite thing in the world.
Yes,
Just the whole not even Soviets called me bad dog drinking from her bowl while Lloyd Kaufman looks like that's phenomenal. I love the fact that we got original Groot look in this. We got like the 1960s Groot monster image. That's great. I love that we got the suits, all that. It was just fantastic to me. Look, I don't have as much of a problem with the most recent MCU movies as Rob does, but again, I'm not grappling with my own mortality the way he is. So but I think this is a highlight. Like I think
I'm gonna die soon. Give me something good.
Yeah. I think both the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and this touch upon a lot of the same ideas about finding purpose with our pain. Yeah. What do we do after that? And they do it in very different ways. Wakanda Forever, we focus on the next generation. And I guess we do that here as well.
I did like Wakanda Forever. I was more leaning into Thor and
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man
and Wasp and Army of Darkness. Strange, yeah. Madness. The multiverse. Yep. I would say the Market of Madness. Market of Madness was terrible.
Yeah, all those words you said. I'm sure the right answers.
Madness,
yeah,
multiverse. I'm having a stroke. It's okay.
But it's also nice to see, Phi Lavelle. That's a great comic character that we brought into it. That's super cool to see that. I thought Chuck Woody did a fantastic job. He's the nicest guy.
He was fucking terrifying. He's
terrifying. And my experience with him on Underground Railroad, he's the sweetest dude in the world. So he bought me crepes, and we just talked about theater schools in the world and stuff like that, and had lovely, sophisticated conversations about Angela Lansbury. And then to see him be this cold, calculated, there is no God, that's why I stepped in. Talk about a mission statement. I feel like that is the most succinct character line since Avengers, since the first one, when Captain America said what Black Widow says to him, I wouldn't mess with them, Cap. Those guys are literally gods. Man, there's only one God, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that. That is the most insightful into how this person thinks line ever. And I feel like this one for High Evolutionary is right up there. Just great fucking writing for who this person is. I mean, don't get me wrong, fuck Joss Whedon. But yeah, I dug the shit out of this. Loved it. I love this movie. I can't wait to see what they do next. I want all of them to come back. The legendary Star-Lord. Give me that. That's great. I'm super stoked about it. But speaking of things that are coming up, let's bring on some trailers.
Coming soon.
That was some great trailer music. I really love that. And we're gonna dive first in to this first film that we're gonna see. Like Guardians, it's about a bunch of heroes, but these are in a half shell. That's right, directed by Jeff Rowe and Kyler Spears, starring Rose Byrne, Seth Rogen, Jackie Chan, John Cena, Paul Rudd, Giancarlo Esposito, Io Debris, Natasha Demetriou, Maya Rudolph, Ice Cube, Brady Noon, Nicholas Cantu, Micah Abbey, Post Malone, Hannibal Buress, and Shaman Brown Jr. This is, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. The Turtles brothers are as they work to earn the love of New York City while facing down an army of mutants. Produced and written by Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and Jeff Rowe. Chad, what did you think about the bodacious trailer for TMNT Mutant Mayhem?
What I said last time for the original trailer was this is fine. I like the Turtles. I'll probably just watch it when it comes to streaming. I'm not going to rush the movies. I still have that same thought after seeing this trailer. I know you might be mad about that, Keith, but this is the problem I actually had with this. It was hard. All four Turtles sounded like it was the same actor. I know they're not, but they all sounded very similar. They did not sound distinct to me at all.
I think that's because you don't know enough Turtles. So I think that's racist against Turtles for you to even say that. Rob, what did you think about this trailer? I know it's animated, nobody kissed.
Hold on a second. I loved it, actually. I love the animation on this. This was the first time I don't remember if I saw the original trailer.
Okay.
This was a lot of fun. I love the animation. I don't know what my issue with the prior Turtles movies. Maybe whatever. They were fine. The ones I saw, I didn't see a whole lot of them. I love the fact that it was actually kids voicing this thing.
Yeah, me too.
Which was kind of cool, which kind of gave it a different vibe. It was just a lot of fun. And again, just another interesting type of animation that I don't think I've seen before. If I have, it didn't jump out to me. It looked like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Again, I probably won't see it in the theater, but this is something I'll stream. It looked like a blast.
Yeah.
And again, I like the tone of Rogen and Evan Goldberg's stuff. There's again, like James Gunn, there seems to be a feel and a vibe to their sense of humor, their tone, their storytelling that generally works for me. And I dug this trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lifelong Turtles fan. I'm probably going to do 100 Days of Turtles challenges. I'm so stoked about this. Like, I think with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, sort of similar to Batman and less so Superman, but every time we get a new interpretation, they seem to highlight a different aspect of it, whether it be the martial aspect, whether it be what an outsider feels like. And it's interesting to see every iteration, and this is the first one that feels youthful in a very big way. And I love that. I think the song used for the movie is even too old for the kids in it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of interesting. I love the fact that we're not getting Shredder. We're not going over the same old material, though I'm sure he'll show up in a post-credit scene. But to see some of those mutant characters sort of get their day in the sun, it feels a lot more similar to not necessarily the original comics, but the Turtles comics that I grew up with, like when it started branching off into Archie and shit like that. So
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I think it's going to be a killer movie, which takes us to our next film, directed by Martin Scorsese, written by Eric Roth, Martin Scorsese, and David Gran. This film stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, Jesse Plemons, Tantu Cardinal, John Lithgow, Brendan Fraser, Cara Jade Myers, Janae Collins, Jillian Dion, William Bellew, Jason Isbell, Scott Shepard, Luis Cancellerni, Sturgill Simpson, Tatanka Means, Pat Healy, and Michael Abbott Jr. This is, of course, Killers of the Flower Moon. Based on a true story, members of the Osage tribe in the United States are murdered under mysterious circumstances in the 1920s, sparking a major FBI investigation involving J. Edgar Hoover. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for Killers of the Flower Moon?
I think that it thinks that it's cleverer than it is. Rob, what does Peter Griffin say about the Godfather movie? What's his opinion?
It insists on itself. It insists on itself.
There you go.
I'm
That's
sorry.
what I think
I'm
about this
sorry.
trailer.
It insists on itself. That's what. Oh my God! Excuse me. It does. It insists on itself.
That's what I think about the trailer. Peter Griffin's opinion of the Godfather. That being said, it's Leo. I'm gonna watch it. I'm not gonna be happy about it, but I'm gonna watch it.
It is fucking Martin Scorsese. Both of you fucks. I don't even know Rob's opinion yet.
I didn't know that was going to be his review. I just know what Peter Griffin's opinion of Godfather is. I was able to help Chad here with his review. I'm not saying I agree with it.
You've never had a performance that moved me so much, but I didn't think it would move me to blind fury and anger. So what do you have to say for yourself?
Me?
Who the fuck else am I talking?
I don't know. Well, I'm fascinated because I read the book last year, and again, it's overwhelming and it's powerful, and just those stories of, that just hold the mirror up to fucking how bad of a species he was, just miserable fucking, It looks like a Martin Scorsese epic. It's got my favorite actors working. It looks powerful. Am I watching it? Yeah, it looks like a Martin Scorsese movie. I'm in. I got to get used to Leo's accent a little bit. The first time I watched it, I was like, I don't know if that accent's working. Then everybody and their mother raved about his accent. I'm like, maybe it's my ears. Maybe I don't fucking know. It wasn't great working for me. I've listened to a lot of the reviews out of Cannes, and clearly it's the overwhelming is it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
So, but again, I've hit and missed with Scorsese over the years, a lot like with the Coen brothers. I'm not saying that none of the movies are bad. Some of them I love, and some of them are like, oh, it's sort of like, again, like eating grape nuts. It's dense and it's heavy and it's a slog to get through sometimes for me. Am I going to watch it? Yes. Am I going to love it? I will tell people I'll love it. and I will pay homage to the throne of the great auteur Scorsese because he makes great movies. So yes, I'm looking forward to it.
You might think like Peter Griffin thinks at the end of the day. That's what might happen.
It insists on itself. What does that mean? I'm just telling you.
How are you both like? Chad's like 40, you're like 72, and you're the ones quoting Family Guy. I don't know. There are very few times in my life when It
looks like the greatest movie ever.
There are very few
Cinematography is spectacular. De Niro looks subtle. I can't wait to see that's with De Niro and DiCaprio getting back together for the first time since A Boy's Life, going back 20 years. It's going to be magical. It's fucking Scorsese. I can't wait to see it.
There are very few times in my life where I'm happy that I don't have hair anymore. But I feel like if I would have still had hair during the show, I would have come out looking like I saw a ghost from the other side, like just gray fucking, or just ripping it out by the scalp. You know what I mean? And it's just, this is Martin Scorsese. It's with these past two movies, it's the Teenage Motherfucking Mutant Ninja Turtles and Martin motherfucking Scorsese. I'm there day one. There are very few creators I like more than Martin Scorsese. I wouldn't even put God above Martin Scorsese on the level of work I like, above it. So I'm just saying, he's an amazing creator, which takes us to our next trailer.
Now, if Scorsese directed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think I'd be...
God, can you imagine that? That would be amazing.
Nero as the Rat Dad, and give me some...
The Rat Dad. That's exactly
Rat
what
Dad, that's his name.
Rat
Did you
Dad.
say Cowabunga? Did
Rat
you say
Dad.
Cowabunga to me?
Rat Dad. Rat Daddy.
I look like a rat dad here.
I'm a Rat Dad. What's Rat Daddy about me?
Yeah. That'd be so great. Now I'm going to do a cast of Martin Scorsese favorites in that.
Martin Scorsese, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So speaking of how Scorsese is a fantastic creator, we're going to talk about the creator next. Directed and written by Gareth Edwards, also written by Chris Weitz. This movie stars Ralph Ineson, who you may know from The Witch and tons of other things, Allison Janney, Gemma Chan, John David Washington, Mark Menchaca, Ken Watanabe, Veronica Ngo, Liana Che, Sturgill Simpson, Amar Chadha Patel, Michael Esper, Ian Verdon, Mackenzie Lansing, Madeline Univoyles, Karen Aldridge, Charlie McLeaven, Robbie Tan, and Ulf P-Blod.
Oof.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this movie looks phenomenal. It is described as a post-apocalyptic thriller involving a future impacted by a war between humans and AI. Look, we haven't seen Gareth Edwards in a while. Godzilla, his Rogue One, right? And that was the last time we saw him, maybe? Chad, what did you think about the trailer for the creator?
I doubt I'll go to the movies to see this, but I'm going to watch it. It looks interesting. I like David Washington a lot. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Blade Runner mixed with Children of Men a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I'm getting that vibe, and those are movies, while they're well received and everything, they're not huge on my list. Like Blade Runner is fine. I don't think it's incredible like a lot of people do.
Which version? Which of the 12 versions are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And Children of Men is a little depressing.
It's about to explode.
Goes.
Now they're going off on Blade Runner.
No, fuck Blade Runner. Children of Men, though. That's a fantastic film.
That's incredible.
But I know I'm like in the minority with that. It's just a little on the depressing side. So I'm getting that vibe from it. So I'm a little worried about this, but I'm going to check it out.
It just caught me off guard. I think it's visually fucking stunning.
Yeah.
First of all, I love John David Washington. His subtleties and stillness. Holy crap! I mean, the apple did not fall far from the tree with this fucking guy. I mean, he's fucking great. The visuals look great. I love this type of story. I love, again, there's something about the bleak post-apocalyptic end of the world where there's really no hope, or hope is dim. But when it's done well, I don't know why that sucks me in constantly.
Yeah.
I was hypnotized by this thing. It was just, I thought it looked great. It caught me off guard. But what was the Adam? What about the prehistoric when he goes back in time
65.
Yeah, that also caught me off guard, and I heard that was great. So I haven't
No.
seen that yet either. But
It's not
but
great.
still,
It's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I like Gareth a lot. Like, I loved Monster. I was a big fan of that. His Godzilla has some great moments to it. I love Rogue One, even though some people have complicated relationships with jizz whalers and Star Wars.
love Rogue One though.
Yeah, Rogue One's great.
Rogue One's top 4, baby.
So I'm excited about it. Like, this gives me a lot of Neil Blomkamp, is that his name?
Yeah.
It gives me a lot of vibes of that, and I like him a lot. Other than the fact he's doing Gran Turismo or whatever he's doing now, which is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm here for this. I'm excited about it. The next thing that we're going to be looking at, I'm kind of excited, but also terrified by. This is a television show coming to Amazon Prime. It is called I'm a Virgo, and it stars Brett Gray, Rachel Thurow, Varsha Chand, Lindsay G. Smith, Ari Frankel, Rhonda Johnson Dentz, Diana Lovell, Carmen Ejogo, Mike Epps, Robert Longstreet, Olivia Washington, Carrie Young, Ginger Cressman, Kent Bryan, Elias Barnes, Craig Tate, Sarah Dunn, Jonathan Grant, and Jarrell Jerome as the lead character. Wow. How do we describe this? A coming-of-age joyride about Cootie, a 13-foot tall man who escapes to experience the beauty and contradictions of the real world. He forms friendships, finds love, navigates awkward situations, and encounters his idol named the Hero, played by Walton Goggins, who wasn't even listed on the IMDb. That's crazy. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for I'm a Virgo?
Yeah, I never heard of this before you had put it on the text thread. I was like, what is this? As I'm watching it, it's crazy. And then it said, from Boots Riley. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I see where this is going now. But it's super weird. And it's actually probably too weird for me. Throw in the fact that it's a series as well. It's just like, I just don't see me watching this. It's
Rob, so Chad doesn't like good media. What about you? Are you on his side since he hates Martin Scorsese and Rocket Raccoon?
It caught me off guard. I wasn't aware of it. Like I said, you put it on there, and big fan of Goggins. It was visually striking, but there's something. Boy, I don't know if it was just the state of mind I was in. There was something depressing about it. There was something so lonely about this kid and what he had to go through, and I didn't want to watch it because I just went, I don't want to see this kid be treated like a freak and what he's going to go through. And it looks interesting. It looks like something I've never seen before. To tell you the truth, it has an interesting vibe. I'm sure it's well made. Will I watch? I'll play the first episode. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'll watch the first episode. So we'll see if it grabs me. Great. But it looks cool.
I was in a show with Jarrell called Tales on BET, and so I'm friends with him on Instagram, and he posted, a couple of pictures of him with on a perspective stage and stuff like that. And then when South by Southwest had come, he posted a picture they rode through with a car with an actual 13-foot version of him in the back of a car just to promote the show and stuff like that, because they premiered an episode there. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then the trailer just dropped. And to me, it looks so fantastical. It feels like a modern Roald Dahl piece, but like the actual doll pieces would be, where it's dark. You know what I mean? There's a dark, fantastical element to it. And I'm here for that, because I think we need to see more people of color in that space of fantastical stories. And Walton Goggins as a fucking Iron Man character. Yeah, that's great. I'm there for that. That sounds fun. So I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see what it is. I don't think it's going to be another expendable thing to watch. But that brings me to our next thing that we're going to be watching about, which Expendables is the next movie. It's the fourth film in the Expendables franchise, directed by Scott Wow, written by Kurt Wimmer, Tad Daggerhart, and Max Adams. Daggerhart, that man should be right.
Max Adams. I worked with Max Adams down. He was a Florida State grad. He's one of the filmmakers down there when I used to do short films down there. Holy shit.
Oh shit. That's awesome.
Go Max Adams, yeah.
And it stars Jason Statham, 50 Cent, Megan Fox, who's gorgeous in this fucking trailer.
That's going to be a whole conversation.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren, Tony Jaa, Iko Uwais, oh my God, Randy Couture, Jacob Scipio, Levi Tran, Andy Garcia, Sylvester Stallone, Caroline Wild, Nicole Andrews, Sheila Shaw, Eddie Hall, Lucy Newman-Williams, Koki Falco, and Mike Moeller. Expendables 4 or Expend-4bles, the Expendables will square up against an arms dealer who commands the might of a massive private army, which I think is the same plot from 1 through 3. Chad, what did you think about the Expendables?
Well, there's a revelation here now that Rob has worked with that guy, and I'm shocked that Rob, you're not in the movie because the Expendables.
I didn't say we got along. I didn't say we got along. I said I like it.
It's just like super old action people. I mean, that's you to a T, right? I mean,
clearly the sheriff from Zombie Invasion should be in this movie fighting
the fat game warden from The Feeding. Like, if that's not Rob Brago,
what you said, I thought he owed me $50. I didn't for a second. I know he said game warden. All I heard was game warden. I was like, that game warden. What movie was I in?
I don't know what you were, but you were a little overweight, is what I'm saying.
Well, according to my mom,
what your occupation was necessarily.
Yeah.
So let me just say that this Max Adams guy went on to write Extraction.
Well, I know that. So right, Adams. So he's an interesting life, Max. He was there. He went to Florida State. He was in the military for quite a while. He was in, I believe, Afghanistan, the Middle East, for a couple of tours. And so he was 32, 33 when he showed up at Florida State to get his master's. And I believe his first gig out of getting his master's was he was Scorsese's writing assistant on Boardwalk Empire. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I don't have his credits up, but I believe that was his first gig coming out of Florida State.
Yeah. Well, the Extraction he wrote is not the famous Extraction; it's the Bruce
different.
Willis one. But then he did work on The Terminal List, another Bruce Willis movie called Precious Cargo, and this seems like it's a big bump.
So here's an interesting story. I worked with him on his short film Precious Cargo.
Yeah,
he turned that into his into a feature.
Yeah. That's
cool.
So, but Chad, other than the fact you're shocked our geriatric friend is not in this movie, how did you feel about the trailer?
Shocked. So I like these expendable movies. I just thought it was a weird way to start this trailer with Statham and Megan.
Shut up.
Don't get me wrong.
Awesome.
I'll watch Megan Fox all day long, as far as that goes.
Jesus.
But if I didn't know the Expendables, I'd be like, what is this? Is this Mr. and Mrs. Smith type stuff?
I forgot it was the Expendables really 2 seconds in.
Like.
Which would be great. Those two and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I would totally enjoy, but still.
Yeah.
Honey, you need to take your top off. Like, it'd be great.
The gist of it is, you know what you're getting with these movies. If you like that type of stuff, you're going to like it. I'm all for it. I'm all for watching these recognizable action stars, kicking ass, fighting each other, Stallone being Stallone, Statham being a badass, Megan Fox being super hot. I'm in.
Rob, what about you?
Agreed. That being said, holy shit. And I think we get a little blinded by what she looks like and the way she carries herself, because I've always thought she can act too. Now I think she's pissed off some people. She's not terrible, and she is comfortable in her skin. And
I would be comfortable in her skin too.
I mean, she is. I was a little disappointed when I hopped on late that this wasn't turned into a 2-hour conversation about Megan Fox, because I was disappointed when I realized, oh fuck, this is an Expendables 4 trailer. They're cutting away from that little dance they were doing there, which was awesome. So it looks fun. It looks fun. I wish they would get more cartoony and dip into a deeper pool of characters from the past, and even if they didn't have the rights to those characters, reference them. Get Kiefer Sutherland and just call him Jack and have him with a gun, and just dip into all these shows where there are just actors who want to play with these guys for a couple of days and show up with a wink and a nudge. I think that'd be great. And I'm not saying these people won't be doing appearances, but it looks fun. I'm there. Shit.
Well, I think it's also like, I wish, I don't even care if they do the Jack 24 thing or whatever, but allow them to have the creative characters. The third one, I think, is the one that has Banderas in it. and he was a blast.
I think he was in the trailer in this one too. I think he's in this trailer for a couple of seconds.
I think that's Garcia, and you're racist. But I think
it wasn't Danny Trejo, guys.
Yeah.
I thought Danny Trejo.
He's
so easy to work with. Like fucker. All turtles sound the same.
They couldn't get him. Fuck.
I think like the thing to me, if I'm just being honest, a couple of takeaways. The first one, Megan Fox. Goddamn. There's so many movies I own just because she's in it and she's hot. You know what I mean? I think Jennifer's Body is not a great movie, but goddamn, I own 2 copies of Jonah Hex because she wears, and I could just watch the one, but I still haven't seen that movie, Hurt Gerald's Game in the Snow movie. I haven't watched that one yet.
Till Death. I think it's Till Death, but it's good. Yeah, so. It's actually pretty good.
She is so fun. What pisses me off, I'm sure he's a lovely person. Machine Gun Kelly, really? Oh, it infuriates me. Anyway, that's the first thing. Second thing is, this feels like it either shouldn't be happening or this should be number 6 straight to DVD to a degree. You know what I mean?
It does feel like a DVD. It does not feel like a theatrical release. It's
absolutely.
It doesn't feel like it was shot. It feels.
And it feels like, while I love Megan Fox and wish she would marry me, especially if she wears the April O'Neil outfit, I feel this has just become a lecherous podcast. I feel like she's not the biggest star. Like, none of the new people you're bringing in are any bigger stars than the ones you already had. And that should always be the ambition, is I'm going to get somebody bigger every time. You know what I mean?
What about on the international scale, though? What about on the international scale?
Well, I think that's Tony Jaa and Iko Uwais are the only 2 exceptions to that. But that's also to a very specific niche. Like, I'm going to be hard for either Megan Fox or one of those guys, and it's going to be fantastic. But I also think, like, to an American audience, Iko and Tony, they probably don't really know them like that. You know what I mean? To make the action amazing. But I wish
this is international. They're going for international money with this.
I think so too.
To a large degree.
This is like a Knights of Zodiac sort of situation. I can see that. I'm fine with that. I just wish that they had the longevity to keep going. Like Rob said, just keep bringing me as actors age out at a certain point. Instead of doing Dancing with the Stars, I guess I got to do Expendables 7. You know what I mean? And that
yeah. And again, this is the first trailer. I mean, by trailer 2 or 3, they may drop somebody else in there, and you're like, oh, the Rock is in this movie. Okay, great. You know.
Yeah. I don't see that one happening though for this one. So I don't know, but maybe Jason Statham's there, so maybe there's that connection.
Rob, are you trying to say you're going to appear in trailer number 2? Is that secretly what
I'm not saying I'm going to be in there, but I'm learning Photoshop. So
it would be really bad.
Gotta get together and work on Photoshop.
Yeah. It would be really bad if in a movie of old action stars, you're playing the old man. Like, to let you know.
I want to be the rat. I want to be the rat guy.
Call me
Rat Dad. Rat Dad. I want to be Rat Dad to the Expendables.
Hate it so much. I probably could watch those first 3 Expendables at least 5 nights in a row, which takes me back to our next trailer. It is for a video game adaptation that might rival Super Mario Brothers as the best video game movie ever made. We will have to see. It's the first of a trilogy, reportedly. This is Five Nights at Freddy's. So the film stars Josh Hutcherson, who I absolutely love, Matthew Lillard, who I absolutely love, Elizabeth Lail, I don't know who she is, Mary Stuart Masterson, Kat Connor Sterling, Kevin Foster, Jess Weiss, Grant Feely, Jessica Blackmore, Jophiel Love, Bailey Winston, Lucas Grant, Christian Stokes, Wyatt Parker, Ryan Renicki, Jade Kindar Martin, Piper Rubio, and Joseph Poliquin, shot here in Atlanta, Georgia. What's the story of this? Well, I'll tell you. Directed by Emma Tammy, a troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. During his night on the job, his first night, he realizes that the night shift at Freddy's won't be so easy to get through. What do you guys think about Five Nights at Freddy's?
This is just a tease, but I do think for fans of the game, it gave them what they wanted to see.
Yeah.
I never played the game. My daughter played the game. She loved it. She cannot wait for this movie. She has told me this is her most anticipated movie of the year. She can't wait to see this film. She's worried because they've announced it's day and date, theater and streaming the same day. So she's worried that is the thing that's happened. So, but she still can't wait and is looking forward to see this movie.
Okay.
I'm going to watch it, especially if it's streaming day of.
Yeah, is it? Do you know what it's going to be streaming on? Peacock, or what are we talking about here?
I think it's Peacock or Paramount, one or the other. I think it's one of those two.
Rob, as you try to figure out how to make selfies, weirdo, what did you think about the trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's?
I thought it was a trailer I haven't seen, and as a trailer I haven't seen, I thought it was really on my list to watch.
It's got pizza and animatronic bears. This seems so up your alley. I don't understand how you could not watch it.
It's a video game thing.
Did you watch Willy's Wonderland?
No, I didn't.
Of course he didn't.
That was fun. That
was Cage, right?
Yeah.
I have not seen that one yet.
Just
Peacock, by the way. It's coming to Peacock.
Okay, cool. I was too old for Five Nights at Freddy's when it first came out, though I have being on The Walking Dead and stuff like that. When I was, every kid at a convention was trying to talk to me about fucking that game. So that sort of circle, and I have a nephew and niece, and they loved it. So I'm aware to an extent about the game, at least that first one and some of the others. I'm here for it. I like Josh Hutcherson a lot. Matthew Lillard is a great guy. He's a big fan of horror in general. So just to see what he'll do with this, and the fact that they already have the trilogy written out. So if they get to make it, that's cool. If not, I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes. I would be worried. I could kind of see, the intelligence of maybe doing a day and day just because Willy Wonderland didn't do that great. And it is, for all intents and purposes, the same plot. You know what I mean? This just has a little bit more name recognition. Chuck E. Cheese goes to hell.
For sure.
Yeah. So, but speaking of that movie we just compared it to, let's bring on Mr. Cage one more time. This next film is directed by Yuval Adler, written by Luke Paradise. It stars Nicolas Cage, Joel Kinnaman, Kaiwi Lyman, Nancy Good, Cameron Lee Price, Burns. What a fucking great name. Rich Hopkins, Alexis Zollicoffer, Danny Tesla, Oliver McCallum, Anise White, and Rachel Boyd. This is called Sympathy for the Devil. After being forced to drive a mysterious passenger at gunpoint, a man finds himself in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse when it becomes clear that not everything is as it seems. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for Sympathy for the Devil?
It's like Nick Cage's Collateral.
Yeah.
I feel like that it's Nick Cage just being crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely going to check this out. It looks good. I'm curious to see what I don't know if twist is the right term, but curious to see what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Is Joel Kinnaman really like a secret bad guy, or whatever, and Nick Cage is just fucking with him, Yeah. I don't know how they're going to, but I'm curious about it. So yeah, I'm going to check this out.
Rob, what about you? Did you get a chance to watch this trailer before I make any clever comments?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kinnaman. So, it's nice to see Cage doing a movie. And again, I haven't seen a whole lot of his movies over the past few years. Pig was great. But I like to see him going toe-to-toe with Kinnaman. I think Kinnaman's good.
Yeah, me too.
So that makes it, that gives it a little bit of heft, a little bit of gravitas for me. So, yeah, I'm in. Was that a remake? Sympathy for the Devil, or I meant to look that up to see if it had been redone, or is that just the name of a song? That's just a Stones song.
Yeah, you're thinking of Rolling Stones.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, there's tons of movies that have that same sort of
I'm sure
vibe.
There's a movie with that title too, though. I bet there's other movies with that title, but maybe not a remake, but just they're using that terminology.
Yeah, let me see if I can find anything. Mostly just the 2023 movie. Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it. I dig it. I love. Nick Cage has a special place in my heart now. He's a super cool dude. Godard had a movie called Sympathy for the Devil, but it is not. No, it's the Rolling Stones music video for that. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm here for it. I hope there is a twist to it. Like, it's either Nicolas Cage has to be the devil, or a crazy person who thinks he's the devil, or Joel Kinnaman is actually the devil. I want one of those three possibilities to be the actual case, right? But it looks fun. Like you said, Nicolas Cage and RoboCop Part 2 in Collateral. I'm here for it. It's going to be fun, and Cage's hair is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, so I'm good with that. It looks like a blast to be had. So yeah, that's all we got for this week. There's a lot of movies. There's a lot of trailers we got through. Jesus Christ, I'm tired.
Yeah, a lot of talking.
Yeah. Well, I was mostly tired of looking at your face. Oh, anybody?
Did anybody watch Fubar? Did anybody watch Fubar at all?
We talked about it, I guess, before the show started. No, during the show.
It was at the beginning. Yeah, it was at the beginning of the show. Neither
I
one
saw
of
the
us
first
seen it.
episode. It's a little uneven. It's all right. It's fine. It's got its moments.
Cool.
It's got its moments.
Well, I'm really glad.
Did you guys see the Netflix? They did like a commercial for Action, and it was just for Extraction, and it's Arnold and Hemsworth in the elevator together. That's pretty funny. It's actually pretty funny.
It was great, but it also doesn't look like they're actually in the same set at all.
It does not at all. They were not there together.
Yeah,
that
crazy. Yeah, that's a little crazy. I like the idea behind it. It was just a little.
Me too.
Yeah, it was a little crazy. Extraction 2 looks good. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah. Any other things you've seen, Rob, that you want to discuss now?
I did watch the first episode of a brand new show called 12 Monkeys. Somehow there are 4 seasons out, but I did watch the first episode yesterday, and it was the showrunner is Terry Matalas, who did season 3 of Picard, which is fucking great.
Well,
so it was a pretty good episode. I don't know if you guys heard of it. 12 Monkeys spinoff, 12 Monkeys movie.
You're going to cut that part out, right, Keith?
The entire thing. I'm just going to cut Rob's section out. So
I finished up Ted Lasso, the series finale. Really
that's actually relevant. Yeah,
well, that's an okay one to talk about. Yeah,
it was very good. It was, it's very heartfelt. It's almost like a weird, fantastical world. It was in the thread. Did I say that I watched Ted Lasso in the text thread?
I don't get text.
I must have sent that to somebody else. Somebody else knows I watched Ted Lasso, and they're like, "Fuck is probably telling me you watched Ted Lasso." I think they're going to spin it off without him. Is what they're going to do. I think Sudeikis is going away, and I think they've set it up where Apple's like, "Yeah, okay, this is still pretty good. Let's do another season of this with that," because everybody else stayed behind. Everybody else stayed behind. So I'm wondering if they're going to continue what they're doing. It's a good feeling show, you heartless bastards.
I haven't watched it, but I think Apple will want to do that. Absolutely. Because it's raking in all the money. You know what I mean? But they're going to make a crossover between Succession and Ted Lasso because those are the shows everybody talks about. So just be depressed and then happy again, That'd
be great. Did we talk about Megan Fox? Oh, we did. Okay. That's right.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off now. Chad, if the people want to find you, where can they find you?
On Twitter and Instagram, NQC Podcast.
Awesome. And Rob, if the people want to find you, where can they find you?
They can call Chad, and Chad can hook them up with me. Is what they can do. That's right. Or they can call you. You can say,
I'll do my best.
They get around. Thank you, Chad. Chad's my middleman, my go-to.
Did you start to say thank you, Rob, when he said that? I think you did. I think you thanked yourself.
I was the fat gay warden in the ranger of that movie.
Yep, that's very true. So thank you guys so much for checking us out. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Not Quite Cool is a podcast recorded in Atlanta, Georgia, in conjunction with Actors Teaching Actors and Bean Dip Productions.